Coming up on today's REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio show.
I know for sure that there are men that champion women that either they don't know how to do it or they're stepping up to the plate and they're saying, show me how I can champion this woman to give her more opportunities. I know that for a fact. What I don't know for a fact is when we're going to move that needle faster than it is moving right now. I don't know that, and I know for sure that I'm working on it every single day.
Closer to my dreams.
She's the author of the highly sought-after GOALIE coaching system, who is passionate about helping seasoned entrepreneurs become unstuck in their thinking, abilities, and revenue. She's a coach, author, and speaker who has sharpened her ability to stretch the vision, mission, and goals of those strong enough to withstand the journey. As the founder and visionary of Colette Portis & Co., Colette Portis is a business coach with 20-plus years of experience helping clients think big, strategize for success, and increase revenue. Colette's mission is to change the lives of whole families because winning is the only option. This is the REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio Show.
Hello, everyone. This is Colette with REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio Show. And today on our show, we have the phenomenal president of Walking on the Glass Floor and Selling in a Skirt. She is an international speaker, trainer, coach, author, and mentor. And she's one of my favorite people. Plus, she wears the most amazing black leather motorcycle jacket every time you see her. Please help me welcome Miss Judy Hoberman to the show. Hi, Judy. How are you today?
I'm excited to be here. Thank you. I really love what you're doing, and I love being around you, so yay.
Yay, right? This is amazing. Judy and I are kind of kindred spirits. If we're in the room, there's going to be fun. That's for absolute sure. And her husband is...
Right.
So, Judy, I know you, but my audience might not be that familiar with you. Do you mind sharing a little bit about yourself with my audience?
Absolutely not. I come from a world where I was never encouraged to do what I was supposed to do. I was always discouraged. I was always told where I should be, what I should do, what I should wear, and I went along with it for a while until I couldn't any longer. And so I started out in business, and it was the first time that people looked at me and they thought, you don't actually belong here. So I actually started there, and then I went into insurance, and I stayed in insurance for a long time. And what happened with insurance was I loved it. And most people don't love insurance. They think it's kind of weird, but I do. I love insurance. And so I became this person, this other person that was helping for years and years and years because all I wanted to do was help people. And that's where I started, and I continue to do that.
I love that. You know, what I find is that is oftentimes the case, that we start out with a desire to help others and offer them what we have that's great about us. And so we're going to talk a lot today with Miss Judy from Walking on a Glass Floor and Selling in a Skirt about the journey, the successes and the sunny days and the rainbows. However, I am sure you know, like I know, Miss Judy, that is not what happens most of the time. And it takes a while, and it takes some hard work before you get to that place. And so what I would like to know is, who did you think you were at the beginning of your journey? Started moving and functioning in what now you know is your greatness. Who did you think you were?
I was confused. I think that's what I thought. I thought I was always the square peg in the round hole. I wasn't sure who I was supposed to be, but I knew whatever I was putting out there wasn't me. And so it's very difficult to decide like who you thought you were if you really don't know who you are. And when you're trying to be a good girl and a perfect girl, and I'm a recovering perfectionist, you try to do all the things that you truly believe everybody wants you to do, and you want to be good at it. And you, even though you're, and I became a perfect teenager, and I became a perfect, woman in her 20s. I was perfect. I was perfect. That's because that's what I thought I was supposed to be. And when you talk about, good times, bad times, being perfect is the most difficult thing you could ever strive towards, because the only way to go is down. And so that's where I was all the time. I was perfect. I was absolutely perfect. I never did anything wrong. I was also the most boring person ever because I didn't do anything wrong. Everybody thought, so that's, it's not that who did I think I was. That's who I was. And I wasn't authentic at all. So it's kind of weird. It's hard to describe it, but that's how I grew up.
I completely understand that. And one of the things that I say all the time now is perfect is boring. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us find ourselves in that place. So what did you think about the journey when you started this and you decided, okay, this is the path that I'm going to be like?
I thought the journey would be, I kind of thought it would be easy because that's what I was used to. So I would always be the one that showed up on time and did the right thing and so on and so forth. But the journey was weird for me because at one point, my father had entered me into a beauty contest because he kept telling me how pretty I was and how perfect I was. And, and I was, 20 at the time. Or actually I was a little as I unentered me. And this went back and forth like a ping pong table. And so finally he sat me down and he said, listen, you have to enter and you have to win because all you are is pretty and you'll never amount to anything more than that.
Oh, wow.
Right. So think about that. The first time I ever told that story, I sucked all the air out of a room because I didn't realize how hurtful it was until I actually said it out loud. And now even right this minute, I'm gulping a little because even though it was decades and decades and decades ago, it still stings. But at that moment, it was somewhat rebellious, but not to the point where, I shouldn't say that I was wearing leather jackets because that's what I ended up with.
Yes.
But you know what I'm saying? So I didn't know what the journey was going to be like. Just I knew that it should be easy because that's what I'm used to, but it was a lot harder than I thought because I had to change everybody's perception of me. And then I had to change myself because I had to make sure that I knew who I was and I had to show up as the person I was. It was a weird journey.
What I think I know is we oftentimes think that our parents and siblings and closest friends and everybody are going to be our biggest cheerleaders. But for most of us, we find that that's not true. Talk a little bit about just that part of the journey and coming into that realization.
Well, when I tell people that story, a lot of times they say, oh, that's so nice. He thought you were pretty. And, but at that moment in my life, I knew that I was also smart. And that was to be smart. They were supposed to do what they were supposed to do, but they weren't supposed to be smart. And so there was that struggle again. But when you don't have somebody that backs you up and that's supposed to be your biggest cheerleader, you kind of feel lost. Yeah. You do. So,
I love that. And I think that's just starting on this journey, that it's important that we know that not everybody, in a lot of cases, not the people that we assume are going to cheerlead us, actually end up cheerleading us. So that's a great point that you make. So who are you now?
I know exactly who I am now. People say to me, so describe yourself. Well, first of all, I think I'm funny. I am really funny. And a lot of times, right. And a lot of times I think that I've missed my calling. They say to me, you should be a stand-up comic because it's not doing what happens to everybody. There's something funny about it. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. So I'm a really good listener. I'm a really good person for accountability. I have a lot of experience in what people are trying to accomplish. For instance, my main focus is generally on empowering professional women. But you also can't leave out the men because the men that champion women are just as important. But my focus has to be on making sure that I can help and support women to get into. And so that's my focus. I am a really good teacher. I am a great support system. And I'm also somebody that is open to learn and to grow all the time because that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that I stay current and relevant and that I understand what's going on. So right now, I think I'm the sponge that I should have been when I was little. So I think
that's good.
Right? I think my whole life kind of took a flip-flop.
That's good. And the reason why you saying that, you think when we started this entrepreneurial journey that we know it now. And so we are a sponge and we are still learning. And so I love that. So we're talking to Judy Hoberman, the president of Walking on the Glass Floor and Selling in a Skirt. And she is sharing some great insight on the entrepreneurial journey, the new REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio show, tapthemikradio.com.
Closer to my dreams.
Who's your goalie? It's an acronym for grafting objectives around longevity and entrepreneurship. Here's founder Colette Portis.
What GOALIE does is it helps you to develop the foundation of your business. It helps you to solidify who you are in the market, what problem you resolve, your company resolves, and then how you do that for a customer. And that gives an entrepreneur or a business owner the confidence that is necessary to communicate who they are and what they do simply without turning around and giving you lots and lots of information that you then have to try and decipher, only to come out not knowing what problem this company resolves for you. And so what GOALIE does is it helps you to understand why your core values, your mission, your vision, your brief history of your company is important.
Order GOALIE by Colette Portis at Amazon.com or ColettePortis.com and let Colette Portis and Company, founder of the GOALIE movement, put you in scoring position with your future.
Tap the Mic Radio Network. We're on.
Hi, this is Gail Scott Key of Gail Scott Key's Entertainment Now on the brand new Tap the Mic Radio Network. This is a show where we showcase some of your favorite stars from the past, future, and now. So tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Tap the Mic Radio Network. We're on.
She is the president of Walking on the Glass Floor and Selling in a Skirt, Miss Judy Hoberman. And so, Judy, when you said that you were a sponge.
So, everybody will say it's really easy to be an entrepreneur. It takes a lot of work. You're going to put in some hours, but you've got this because you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. But as an entrepreneur, there's a couple of things that happen. First of all, you have to make sure you understand that you can't do it by yourself. I don't care how good you are, how smart you are, how talented you are. You can't do it by yourself. There has to be other people that support you. And it could be, for me, it's always technology because I know enough to be dangerous, but that's about it. So I have to reach out to someone. You have to stay very focused because we are all shiny object people. And so you have to make sure that you know what you're doing, who you're doing it with, and why you're doing it. And you can't ever forget your why, because when you forget your why, you might as well just hang it up. So entrepreneurship is, it's exciting, and there's great things that come from it, but just know that it takes a village. It's like anything else. You see all these people that you consider overnight sensations. They're total, it's 20 years in the making. Hard on yourself, as we've all been on ourselves. And that's what happens.
I love it. And one of the things that I love that you said is you cannot do this by yourself. It takes a village. And that is so true. Like the concept and idea of solopreneur, I don't really care for much because there's no such thing. You can't do this by yourself. I love that. I love that, Judy. So through the journey, tell me what you discovered about yourself. Broke times, because those come, those happen. What did you discover about Judy?
So, as you go through the stages of being an entrepreneur, the stages of your life, things change. Because when I first started out, I was a single mom with 2 kids. So my one and only job was to protect my children. And that's when I got into insurance. So when I can protect my family, I could protect others. But things change when your children grow and, and then you get married and all these other things change. So what I found, I was very stuck in my ways, like this is how it is, this is how it's going to be, and no one's going to change it. But it doesn't work like that. So you have to be able to roll with the punches. But you also have to extremely resilient. And I found that at some point I'm more resilient than others. But what I did discover about myself is I had to give myself permission to wallow in it. So when something bad happens, because we've all had bad things happen, and I've had somebody that has reached his hand into my bank account, which thousands of dollars later, I thought it was all over. I thought, I can't do this, I can't believe it, blah, blah, blah. But I gave myself permission to wallow. And I did for, a couple of hours. And then I gave myself permission to say, okay, now, what did you learn from this? And what will you not do again? And, so I always tell all my clients, you have to give yourself permission to go down, but you have to give yourself permission to get up. Because if you wallow in something for a really long time, you're never going to go forward. So I learned that about myself, that I am to give myself the qualities of a human being. And that means crying or grabbing ice cream or whatever you do when you're upset, but do it. But then give yourself permission to go back in the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love the idea and the concept of giving yourself permission. One of the things that I say is it's your world. You get to make the rules. And so one of my personal rules is I get 30 minutes. I get 30 minutes to sob and feel sorry for myself, but back to taking over the world. So I absolutely love that. You talked about resilience. Expound on that a little bit.
I think one of the things you have to understand is that we're all leaders, whether you are a business of one or a business of 1,000. We're all leaders, and people watch you. People look and see what you're doing and how you're going to react to things. And so when something is not going your way, what do? Do you, throw yourself and break down and throw? Is how you get through the things that are not always that great. But you also have to remember, resilience also is about getting through things that are great, because sometimes we are more afraid of succeeding than we are of failing. So when that happens, you have to be able to say, wow, this was really awesome. I did really, really well. Now what do? You don't want to have a big head and, not be able to get through the door because your ego is so big either.
Right.
And so I always check myself. I mean, I never think that I'm, myself that, because remember where I come from, I have to remind myself to rewind my tapes.
So we're talking to Judy Hoberman, the president of Walking on the Glass Floor and Selling in a Skirt, and she is sharing some great insight on the entrepreneurial journey, the new REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio show, tapthemicradio.com.
Coming up,
tell me about what your greatest accomplishment has been on this journey.
I need to make sure that I'm still learning and growing. So to me, those are accomplishments. But my biggest accomplishment is never forgetting my family.
And
Judy, if you could leave the new or aspiring entrepreneur with one word or a quote, what would it be?
But you never choose to walk away.
who's your goalie? It's an acronym for grafting objectives around longevity and entrepreneurship. Here's founder Colette Portis.
What GOALIE does is it helps you to develop the foundation of your business. It helps you to solidify who you are in the market, what problem you resolve, your company resolves, and then how you do that for a customer. And that gives an entrepreneur or a business owner the confidence that is necessary to communicate who they are and what they do simply without turning around and giving you lots and lots of information that you then have to try and decipher, only to come out not knowing what problem this company resolves for you. And so what GOALIE does is it helps you to understand why your core values, your mission, your vision, your brief history of your company is important.
Order GOALIE by Colette Portis at Amazon.com or ColettePortis.com and let Colette Portis and Company, founder of the GOALIE movement, put you in scoring position with your future.
TapTheMicRadio.com.
Absolutely. You are amazing. And I love that. And the thing I say, as you know, anytime I'm greeted by someone and they ask me, how am I or how you're doing, I always tell them that I am amazing. So I love that because I believe that every one of us has something amazing in us, about us, and that's what I consider our zone of greatness. So we're talking to Judy Hoberman and Selling in a Skirt. And let me just say this. I love walking on the glass floor. And the reason I love that is because oftentimes, especially for us women, we think about the glass ceiling. But what walking on the glass floor says is we've surpassed that, and the ceiling has now become the floor, and we're on top of it. And I love that. I love that.
Thank you. It's a really good visual, when you think about it. It's a really good visual. And so my hope is to get more women on the floor and keep them there, because getting them there, that's my goal. That's what I strive towards, is to get more women on the floor and to keep them there.
Yes. So Judy, tell me, what do you know? There's no separating this from you, because this is what Judy knows for absolute sure.
I know for absolute sure that there are places for everyone in this world to own. And when I go back to empowering professional women to own their place in leadership positions and CEO positions, I know for sure that there are men that champion women that either they don't know how to do it, or they're stepping up to the plate and they're saying, show me how I can champion this woman to give her more opportunities. I know that for a fact. What I don't know for a fact is when we're going to move that needle faster than it is moving right now. I don't know that, and I know for sure that I'm working on it every single day. So that's what I know for sure.
I do love it, because I am excited about anything that causes us to move forward. Judy, you mentioned a number of times now men who champion women. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I think it's just because we don't talk about it enough, but it happens.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Colette, because I think that what does happen is a lot of times when you talk about helping women, supporting women, and promoting women, and all this about women, you forget that there's a lot of industries where there's construction and insurance. I was the only woman. So if there are no women, how do you grow? How do you get mentored? How are you shown what the journey is going to be like? You have to reach out to men. And that's what I did my entire life. My first female coach was when I started my company 10 years ago. Before that, it was only men. I had no women. And so I talk about men championing women because we have to include them in the conversation. And when you eliminate them, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So Colette, this is going to come up. Why don't I say to the CEO that you're the right person for it? It's opening doors. It's offering to mentor. It's offering to have a conversation, to show you like what the next steps look like. Not to do it for you, the same way you wouldn't want a woman to do it for you. Not to do it for you, but just to be able to explain what the hiccups in the road might be and what you might be up against. So when men ask, how can I champion women, just keep your ears open and be somebody that is an advocate for women. Anyway, but you don't have to be a feminist. All you have to do is be somebody that is open and can have a trusted and respected conversation and workplace. That's what it is.
I completely agree with that. And I also agree with the fact that you don't have to label yourself in order to function in a way that may fall under that category. So when you say you don't have to be a feminist to champion a woman or mentor her, that's the absolute truth. And it's that we have to label ourselves so that we actually don't make any moves. Mm-hmm. So we are talking to the president of Walking on the Glass Floor and Selling in a Skirt, Miss Judy Hoberman, and it has been amazing thus far. Judy, I know that you have this level of greatness, and I know just from experience, when you enter a room, we pay attention, and absolutely. Tell me about what your greatest accomplishment has been on this journey.
So when you ask a woman that question, what does she do first? She said, oh my God, I can't brag about anything. That's not who I am. I was told never to brag. And how do you do that? And so I always say you need to have something in your back pocket. I mean, I've done a lot of things. I have. And in sales, I was, top of really, I won every award. But that isn't, that to me, those are things that I did because that was my job. That's my job. But the things that I was given an award for character and integrity, or when I recently was named one of the 7 women to watch in 2019 by Thrive Global. That to me are things that are out of the ordinary, because it's not something that you can't say, well, I won this award. This is something that someone else chose to give to me. Okay, so that to me is a great accomplishment. Also, I enrolled in Women in Entrepreneurship, and I did those in between doing all the other things because I thought I need to make sure that I'm still learning and growing. So to me, those are accomplishments. But my biggest accomplishment is never forgetting my family. Never being so busy that I don't have time for my family. Because that to me is the most important thing to me. And as an entrepreneur, you have to make sure that you remember what's really important to you. So it's not that you want to be considered the influencer or the thought leader or any of that.
I love it, Judy. One of the things that I talk about quite often is how do you connect family to your business when you're an entrepreneur? There's a way to do it. That doesn't mean that they have to become an international speaker and trainer and author like Judy. But how do we do that so we don't leave them behind and we get to take them on the journey with us? And so I want to mention this because we haven't talked about this yet. And I am a lover of TED Talks, and I teach all of them. And so I know that you've done a TED Talk. Talk a little bit about just the journey getting there and then what that was like.
Oh my God. So the first time I applied, I was not chosen. And I actually was relieved.
Really?
Because you have no idea what you're going to get into. So I waited another year and I applied again. And each place that you can do a TED Talk has a theme. And so I can't remember what the first theme was, but I don't really think it had anything to do with me. But the second one was about that. So I applied, and finally, I get the notification that I was accepted. And then you start to say, what did I just do?
Yes.
But first of all, it's a lot of preparation. It really is, because it's it's no more than 18 minutes, but they really want between 12 and 15. So no matter how fast you talk, no matter how slow you talk, it's never the right amount of time. It just isn't.
Right.
And then you have to be able to have some teachable moments. You have to be able to have a topic that or whatever. But then the hard part is you have to stand in one space. You can't walk around. Yes. You're in a red circle. The TED qualifications, you have to say, I'm okay if you video me. But you have to stand in one space. And so that's very hard for me. But I will tell you, right before I did it, a friend of mine does neuro-linguistic programming. And she said to me, what are you afraid of? And I said, I'm afraid I'm going to miss when you think of a TED Talk, what's the first thing you hear when you listen or you watch? I said, applause, because everyone starts with an applause. So I said, that's what I hear. She said, what color calms you down? I said, purple. She said, okay, and are you going to wear anything that's really important? I said, my wedding ring. She said, okay, so before you walk on the stage, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think of the color purple. I want you to hear the applause and know you're not going to forget anything, and then turn your ring. And so that's what I did. And I get on the stage. Now remember, I'm telling the story about my father. That's the one of the stories. Really, I was good. But at the 5-minute mark, I can hear and I could hear my voice start to shake, and I could feel the tears coming up, and I turned my ring. And at that moment, my husband took a picture of me, and I didn't know it, he didn't know it, and I was turning my ring. Wow. So it was it was very weird. But, and I told him, don't sit anywhere where I can see you, but you can't see anybody because the lights are so bright. It was that whole thing. Once I did it, I realized that it was the scariest thing I had done, but the best thing. I was the same way, only my father told me I wasn't pretty. Or I was the same way that nobody wanted me. So the message that you offer people, someone in that audience needed to hear. So it was the best thing and the scariest thing.
Well, I don't know about anybody else, but I am completely encouraged by that, because I will do a TED Talk one day, and my desire is to share my story. And so I know if Judy can do it, I'm going to put my leather jacket on, and I'm going to go. I am great at that. Is amazing. It really is. And I actually plan to go and watch your talk with some of my nieces and my son, because I think it's just important for them to see and hear those stories and see where your story alone can take you. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
We're talking to Judy Hoberman, the president of Walking on the Glass Floor and Selling in a Skirt coach. She's also an author, and yes, a mentor as well. So Judy, tell me, what's next for you? What are you up to? What do you have coming up?
So my last book, Walking on the Glass Floor, we decided to build a training around that. And the training, we added on to it. It's based on the book, but it's also about why are we still talking about getting more women in leadership? It's 2019, why are we still talking about it? Yes. And what can we do to change things? So we built this amazing training. I mean, it is life. And each time the CEO of the company will tell me, oh my God, my people are on fire, and I can't believe how they've changed and all this kind of great things. So that's what we're doing right now. And we've got 10 certified facilitators who are out there sharing the message. So it's all good, all good.
I love it. I love it. I love the fact that you said you have 10 certified trainers out there sharing, because that helps us. Said that you can't do this alone, and you went and found others to champion your greatness with you. So, Judy, if you could leave the new or aspiring entrepreneur with one word or a quote, what would it be?
Let's see. I would say be open and don't give up. Because
simple as that.
Simple as that. I mean, there's a million things like don't give up. Really don't give up, because you're going to get to the point where you just want to rip your hair out and go, I'm just going to go to corporate, or I'm going to do something else. And then right beyond that, you ever read the book 3 Feet from Gold? There's so many people that are like right there. They're right there and they quit.
Yes.
So I just think that there's so many opportunities for us out there. So being an entrepreneur is a lot of work, but it's rewarding. And just find people that you can surround yourself with that can help you. Absolutely.
Media, your websites.
I'm all over social media. I post every single day before 7 a.m. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all different Facebook pages. And I'm either under Selling in a Skirt or Judy Hoberman. You'll see everything that I do. And the website would either be Selling in a Skirt or Walking on the Glass Floor. Either or.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been great.
Thank you.
We have been speaking with Miss Judy Hoberman, the president of Walking on the Glass Floor and Selling in a Skirt. We are so happy to have had you on the show today, Judy. So thank you very much. And to my audience, work to realize your destiny and then set out to be great at what you're great at.
Next week on the REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio Show.
My greatest accomplishment, I would say, in the journey is I've learned from great leaders told me is that your greatest accomplishment is always reflective in the more of you make.
Until then, follow Colette on Instagram at Colette Portis and Tap the Mic Radio on Facebook. And don't forget to join the GOALIE movement. Are you ready to grow your team, increase your revenue, and build your legacy? Let GOALIE guide you to success. Order your GOALIE bundle today at Amazon.com or ColettePortis.com. I'm Dorian J. This has been a Colette & Co. TMRN production. Coming up on today's REAL-Eyez Destiny Radio Show.
I know for sure